Hello and welcome to Duke's Handbook, where I give general life advice on anything that anybody has. The Reddit episodes are Mondays at 05:30 in the morning Mountain Time. Anytime somebody emails in or have multiples like that, those episodes are released Tuesday through Friday at 5:30 in the morning. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the show. Hello, welcome to Duke's Handbook, and we're going to just kind of jump right into it. It says, my boyfriend attacked me. I, female 19, and boyfriend male 18, have been together for 8 months. We've moved in together rather quickly and have a normal relationship just like anyone else. Not if he's attacking you. However, early this morning I decided I would wear a pair of his sweats and wear a pair of his sweats to work as I didn't have any clean pants. Once he sees me wearing them, he asked me to take them off as it was his, quote, favorite pair. I asked nicely if I could, and I'll wash them as soon as I'm home, and it'll be like I never wore them. Saying that must have struck a nerve as he started yelling to take them off. I said okay and headed back to the room to change into the pants I wore yesterday. He followed to the room saying he, quote, wants me to make sure I take them off. What? Dude sounds like an asshole, to be honest with you. To which I asked him to leave the room so I can change. It's your boyfriend, and I don't understand why you need him to leave the room so you can change. You guys have seen each other naked, but I digress. I don't want to change in front of him as he was yelling at me, and I no longer felt interested in his company or letting him see me change. Oh, okay, that makes sense. My bad. He started saying no, and I started getting more stern to finally. So finally, he left the room. It's really kind of poorly written, and I closed the door. Before I was even able to turn around, he runs back into the room and pushed me, which caused me to literally fly across the room and bang my head on the edge of the bed stand. I was confused and looked up and said, "What are you doing?" To which he picks me up by my shirt and started slamming me back down on the floor, screaming at me for, quote, disrespecting him by closing the door. I have no idea what to do as we own 3 cats, and if I leave, I wouldn't be able to care for them, as having to give up my cats will hurt me more than he ever can. I feel physically sick and scared to be around him, as I've never seen this side of him before. Any advice? Yeah, girl, kick him the fuck out of your apartment. I mean, any over sweatpants, any man to go this far. I mean, I get it. You're both young, but still, that doesn't excuse him of his just downright nasty behavior. He's a piece of shit, and he's showing it early. Thank fuck, because you can get the hell out of there. It's only 8 months. You're 19. It's not even that big of a deal to just leave this guy. Get him the fuck out of your house. Kick him out. Tell him he needs to go to a friend's house or apartment, whatever you're living in, and get him the fuck out of there. And if you have to call the cops, then so be it. But you don't need him around you, and obviously it's an issue. So that I think you need to take that step. And even if you have to call a friend or your dad or something like that to make sure that he gets the fuck out, leaves the key, and file a restraining order, because that's way too much, way too soon. You're gonna have problems in the future. Don't even bother trying to be that person that stays in it for the cats. Like, get them the fuck out of your apartment or house. All right, so this one is called. This is the title. I told my parents that I was done and wanted nothing to do with them after my father hit my daughter and insulted my wife. Now my mother is mad at me and saying I went too far. First of all, I hope you laid your father out. He sounds like a complete piece of shit. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. My name is Sean. I'm 36 years old. My wife, Anna, is 37, and my daughter, Lexi, is 8. Growing up, my father and I never really got along. He's always been a very hateful man, especially towards women, and a racist on top of it all. A racist to top it off, and he was always mean to me because I refused to behave like him. My mother was an enabler and always took his side growing up for whatever reason. Probably because he beat the shit out of your mom. I initially went no contact with both my parents at 18, and we didn't speak again until a month ago. This was due to his terminal cancer diagnosis, which I decided to try and put the past behind us, and also because of my mother's request. I invited my parents over Friday for the weekend, and the first day went pretty well. It wasn't until Saturday that it went bad. I had gone out to the local convenience store to pick up some things, and when I got home, I walked into my daughter crying and my wife holding her visibly upset. I asked what happened, and my wife told me that my daughter had a glass of milk in her hand and was coming out of the kitchen when she accidentally bumped into my father and spilled the milk on him. My wife told me that my father then slapped my daughter across the face, and when my wife told him he was never to hit our daughter, he called her a bitch. See, just on that note, I would have laid my fucking dad out. But again, my dad's a piece of shit. He's not in my life for a reason. When my daughter looked up at me, she had a red handprint on her right cheek. I walked into the living room and told my parents that they had to leave and were never allowed in my home again, and told my father that he was a terrible man and father. I then told them both not to contact me ever again. They tried to protest, but I threatened to call the police. If they didn't, then they left. I mean, your dad's a piece of shit. I'm gonna throw that out there. I mean, obviously you know that. Early this morning, my mother called me and left a message saying I was a terrible son and that I should be ashamed of myself for treating them the way that way, especially because of my father's condition, and that I went too far by kicking them out. I sent her a text saying I don't think I have anything to feel sorry for and that he was in the wrong, then blocked her number. I don't think that I should feel bad, but what do you guys think? I think you're in the fucking right, dude. First of all, what I'm seeing here is your piece of shit father is abusive, right? Has been abusive to you, is obviously abusive to your mom for the reasons that she takes his side for whatever reason. And then your mom hitting you back and then using your father's condition as like you shouldn't do that because he has cancer. Well, he's been a piece of shit his whole life. Or your whole life. And maybe his whole life too. And fuck him. That's all I gotta say. Fuck him. You kicked him out, and which is far less than what I would do, especially had my father slapped my daughter and then disrespected my wife like that. I mean, I would have beat the brakes off of him right there in the living room in front of his own wife and everything like that. Like, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. What a piece of shit he is. You did the right thing. You did the right thing by not making it physical. And you did the right thing by just leaving it as it was and being like, fuck off, cunts. So, good for you on that one. Good for you on that one. You're totally fine. Don't even trip. You did the right thing. This one is called, My Girlfriend Just Hit Me and Called Me a Lonely Little Bastard. This just happened and I'm currently at a friend's house lying about the circumstances why I'm here. Our relationship has been all right for a while, until a month ago, After, where after a close family of hers died, she started yelling at me more frequently. Around that time, I made a post on this subreddit for help, but I didn't receive any aid. So I instead just asked a group of friends for advice. I followed it, but after a week or so, everything got worse. I told her that I wanted to take a break from our relationship, but then she told me that she would hurt herself if I left. So I stayed because I was scared she would do it. Fast forward to about an hour ago, where after she yelled at me again for forgetting to buy something, I had had enough of this constant misery I had to deal with. So I just snapped. I shouted at her for always getting mad and that I had had enough. She then punched me in the face and said I was a little bastard for yelling at her because I knew what she was going through. I couldn't stand it anymore, so I just walked out. I told my friend that I had locked myself out of my apartment and that my significant other wouldn't be home until tomorrow. I have 9 missed calls from her, but I'm terrified to answer. Please, God, I need help. I don't know what to do. No one will believe me about it. People always say we, quote, look so happy together. Please, what do I do? I'm going to be honest with you, man. After being in a situation of 2 different relationships where it all of a sudden got to a point where I was getting yelled at for dumb shit, like forgetting to buy air fresheners. Meanwhile, I bought everything else for a camping trip, like stuff like that, to one of my other relationships where I was beaten by my ex physically for literally using too much ranch. Like, that's all it was. I used too much ranch and I was getting beaten up for it. So I know it's funny. I know it sounds funny, but it's a pain in the ass, especially when you're in the situation. And just, you gotta leave. You gotta leave. I mean, she might have said, I'll hurt myself if you leave me, or did say it, whatever. And it's really hard to just kind of like be like, okay, well, I'm still leaving because you care about that person. But also at the same time, you gotta look out for you, dude. And this is not healthy for you. It's not healthy for you, and you're being manipulated to stay. So you gotta leave, and whatever happens after you leave happens. And it's not your fault. It is not your fault because you're looking out for yourself, and you need to make sure that you're good and you're safe and you're in like a better environment. So I don't think she would actually do anything to harm herself if you left. But in the case that she does, it is not your fault. In the case that she doesn't, well, you got the fuck out of there, and you're both 18. So that works. And I really just think you need to get the fuck out of that situation regardless. Well, this one will be interesting. It says, my husband's birthday traumatized him, and it's coming up. What do I do? Obviously, I'm going to reach out to this person. It was posted 9 hours ago. TW, sexual assault, military PTSD. About 8 years ago, before we met, my husband was deployed in Guantanamo Bay on his 24th birthday. He was date raped by a woman in his unit. For this reason, his birthday is very triggering to him, and he dreads it. We have been together for 5 years, and I found out this last summer. I always knew he didn't like his birthdays, for anybody's birthdays, including my own and our 3-year-old daughter's, but I didn't know to the extent or what exactly happened until last year when he had a vivid flashback and severe mental breakdown that he is still recovering from and in intensive therapy for. I'm a little confused here, unless this woman did some like exponential shit to him while he was date raped, or maybe it wasn't actually a woman. Since I hadn't known all this until recently, I still would try my best to make his birthdays nice for him so he'd grow to enjoy them in the previous years. I'd never throw a party for him. Uh, I I'd never throw him a party because he's very socially anxious, but I'd make him dinner or make him gifts or a few intimate gestures, other little things like that. Seemed generally pleased and appreciative, but again, this was pre-flashback. He's turning 32 next weekend, and he specifically told me he does not want to celebrate his birthday because his birthday, quote, is and will always be the day of disgust and grief to him. I want to respect his boundaries, but I also wouldn't feel right just letting him sulk in misery the whole day. He deserves to enjoy his birthday just as much as anybody else. And it would be great to break the cycle of that day being a negative day for him rather than reinforce it. Our daughter loves celebrating birthdays and figured that maybe her excitement would help him reframe the experience for him. But again, I don't want to push it too far. What is the best thing I can do for him when his birthday comes next week? ETA, a few more questions. Would it be too much to say happy birthday on his birthday? How do I go about him being triggered about other people's birthdays? I guess my birthday doesn't really matter, but what about our daughter's, which is also coming up? Should I expect that he attends her birthday party? This is a very complicated subject. Obviously, mostly it's women that get date raped. In this case, it was a man that got date raped while he was deployed in Gitmo. I know a lot of the times that happens in the military, being military myself, and like it mostly happens to women. Haven't really heard it happening to guys unless it's by other dudes. So, I mean, the best you could do is sit down and talk with them and try to like level something out here where you can have a conversation. It's obviously going to take him some time to get over that and kind of move. I don't think he'll ever actually move past it. It'll always be there, but he needs to just know that he's safe in your presence during his birthday. Like, he needs to know for a fact he's safe. Like, nothing bad is going to happen. Nothing like that. The best thing you can do is to completely and just wholeheartedly try to reinforce the fact that he is safe at home with you and his daughter for his birthday, your birthday, and his birthday. Nothing's going to happen. He's going to be fine. Keep it small. Maybe just him, you, and your daughter, or him, you, your daughter, his parents, your parents, something like that. Just really small. Start with just you, him, and his daughter. And I'm sorry, your guys' daughter. And leave it at that. And I mean, like, if you want to throw a birthday party for your daughter where she has like a bunch of friends and obviously the parents are going to be there as well, maybe let him stay at home and you do it out somewhere. But like, for him, just keep it small and help reassure that he's 100% safe in your presence in your own home with nothing to worry about. That's the only thing I can really think of. And I know that's really difficult to do, but you need to sit and have that conversation and maybe do it with his therapist. Like, go to therapy with him to try and not resolve the issue, but help take steps to try and make it to where you're able to do that. Especially since your daughter is like super big on birthdays, you know. Maybe hold off on the happy birthday. Word it differently. You know, be like, oh, you're 33 now, you old bastard. Something like that. Or 32 now, you old bastard. Something like that. Just don't use the term happy birthday. I mean, like, I really hope this helps. But anyway, I'm sorry that happened to him. And, brother to a brother, I hope he gets the help he needs. Hey, I just want to say thank you for everybody that listens. I really appreciate you guys listening in on the weekly basis. I do have another podcast going with my Australian buddy. It's called Eagle and the Roo. Keep a lookout on that. We're currently recording episodes right now, and they are video episodes, so they will be up on YouTube as well, so that you can see our facial reactions and everything like that. I look forward to seeing you not only on the YouTube for this podcast, but that podcast as well. And I mean, thanks for listening, man. I appreciate all of you. You have a good rest of your day.